May the search for knowledge and truth bring us even closer to the divine. Welcome back, and let our journey begin.
The story of Cain and his wife is truly intriguing, particularly for those who noticed in Genesis that the Cain dynasty carries on. The story raises a question that has piqued the curiosity of many: where did Cain get his wife? To unravel this mystery, we must delve into the depths of biblical verses. These verses inform us that after Cain killed his brother Abel, he was banished by God and wandered to the land of Nod, which was located east of Eden. But here, a crucial moment arises when the text states, Cain made love to his wife, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. Genesis 4 verse 17. Since women were not mentioned before Eve, the mystery arises. How could Cain leave the heaven area and wander to find a wife to marry? This riddle presents two possible explanations for the origin of the woman whom Cain married. If the story interests you, then let's get started. As a result of his father's sin in heaven, the land was cursed. Now, the Son himself is cursed through the land. This is how humanity's journey in the world began, by surrendering to passions and curses. This is the explanation for the toil and hardship of the human race outside of heaven. Now, to add to that, there is the punishment of wandering. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield its crops for you. You will be a restless wanderer on the earth. Genesis 4 verse 12. The curse of Cain, the tiller of the land, is not only more severe than that of the earth, but also originates from it. This is the very land where he concealed his crime, the very land that will now deliver his punishment. It would withhold his power precisely from those who depended on him. Cain goes to exile, just like his father was exiled from heaven. From now on, he will not only lack a permanent place to live but also peace, as evidenced by his fears. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me. Genesis 4 verse 14. Cain refutes his claims, but God grants him special protection as a sign to prevent him from being harmed. The protection of Cain goes beyond the sign that sets him apart from the rest of the world. It also includes the promise to avenge his death, in case the sign alone is not sufficient. After leaving the presence of God, he ironically settles in the land of Nod. There, he experiences the joys and challenges of family life, continuing the chain of generations just like his father. Where did he find a woman in a world devoid of humans? In the Bible, the question of who Cain married is not explicitly answered. However, it is believed that Cain married one of his sisters or a close relative, as all the people on earth at that time were directly descended from Adam and Eve. Where then Cain find his wife? There are two options available for this. The first option suggests that God created additional groups of people and dispersed them across different parts of the world. This suggests that the woman Cain married could be a part of one of these distinct groups. However, upon examining the story of Genesis, this idea appears to be impossible. In Genesis chapter 3, Adam refers to his wife Eve, and declares, Adam named his wife Eve, because she would become the mother of all the living. Genesis 3 verse 20. The phrase mother of all the living refers only to human beings. This emphasizes that Adam and Eve were the original human couple from whom all subsequent human beings came. Thus, the idea of Cain encountering a separate group of people created by God contradicts Scripture. An alternative explanation suggests that Cain may have married his sister, niece, or great-niece. Two facts that help us understand who she was are: 1. The Bible does not mention the names of all descendants of Adam. 2. The age at which Cain got married was not provided. At the time when Cain married a woman, and as we have already mentioned, there were no other people in the world except for Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel. However, tragically, Abel was killed. Based on the description of the events between Cain and Abel, it seems that both of them were farmers at the time. It is also apparent that they were already adults and had their own families. It is possible that Adam and Eve had other children besides Cain and Abel, especially considering that Abel was murdered. After Adam and Eve, their descendants multiplied, including their grandchildren and great-grandchildren. It was one of Adam and Eve's daughters or granddaughters who married Cain. After Cain was cursed and exiled, he journeyed to the east of Eden, where he met and knew his wife, who accompanied him. Cain made love to his wife, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. Genesis 4 verse 17. Despite being cursed by God and marked to prevent harm, Cain found a woman who agreed to be his wife. She could have been one of his sisters, or she could have been the daughter of Abel or Seth, his niece. She could have also been 1 or 2 generations later. The ambiguity of Genesis reminds us to speculate on the relationship between Cain and his wife. However, it is worth noting that Cain's wife was a descendant of Adam. Since Cain's age is not provided, we cannot determine the exact time of his marriage. Many years could have passed, increasing the possibility that his wife is a more distant relative. According to the Book of Jubilees, Cain's wife is On, who is said to be Eve's daughter. The Book of Jubilees, written between 135 and 105 BC, is a Jewish commentary that is not included in the Bible. According to the Book of Jubilees, it is written that Eve gave birth to Cain, and in the 3rd week of the Jubilee, on the 4th day, she gave birth to Abel. On the 5th day, she gave birth to her daughter, On. After Cain killed Abel because God chose Abel's offering and not his own, Adam and Eve wept over Abel's death. Then it is said, Adam made love to his wife again, and she gave birth to a son and named him Seth, saying, God has granted me another child in place of Abel, since Cain killed him. Genesis 4 verse 25. And then, they gave birth to their daughter, Asherah. Cain, on the other hand, took his sister On as his wife, and she bore him a son named Enoch. Driven by his ambition, Cain built a city, naming it after his son, Enoch. Since Adam and Eve were the first and only humans on earth, their children had no choice but to marry each other. In the early days, marriage within the family was not prohibited by God. It was only later, when the population grew and the need for such marriages diminished, that this restriction was put in place. The same problem occurred following the flood. All human beings are descendants of Ham, Shem, and Japheth, the sons of Noah, along with their wives. After the flood, God commanded them to multiply. Later, after the Israelites left Egypt, God gave laws that prohibited incest, which refers to sexual relations between relatives. In conclusion, the question of where Cain obtained his wife presents a thought-provoking puzzle. A careful examination of the biblical text reveals that Cain seemingly married his sister, who was born to Adam and Eve when they traveled to the land of Nod. The absence of a ban on lion discovery at that time, coupled with the genetic conditions of the era, lends great credibility to this explanation. We hope you learned something new today. If you did, give this video a like and share it with your friends. You can share with us what you know by leaving a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more informative and entertaining content. Thank you so much and see you next time.
If you found this video enjoyable, please consider liking and sharing it. Additionally, subscribing to this channel will ensure that you receive more updates in the future.